Hello everyone and welcome. You are watching Eagle News America. I'm Alan Basoyahe coming to you from Los Angeles, California. Tonight, we have live updates from several of our correspondents from across North America. I'm Alan Ramos in Washington, D.C.
Congress expected to vote on H.R. 51 or the Washington, D.C. Admission Act.
Myla Simbulan in Swarthmore, Pennsylvania.
The Pennsylvania government and business owners endorsed the wearing of masks to protect communities. And a bipartisan effort calls for federal investment in broadband connectivity.
Mylene Cujo in North Hills, California.
The 2020 Census Caravan reaches out to Los Angeles families to complete headcount forms.
Lovely Anderson in Fort Worth, Texas.
Here in Fort Worth, Texas, City Councilman Kerry Moon announced Thursday that he tested positive for COVID-19.
Jericho Montefalcon in San Antonio, Texas, reports about a Texas county judge involved in an altercation over mask order, and Texas governor halting elective surgeries and pauses reopening to address COVID-19 surge. And Raisa Mangilit in Toronto reports about the increase of COVID-19 cases in Windsor, Essex County due to workplace-related outbreaks. Plus, learn how to make bruschetta with Aika Xiong in Fremont, California, and some winter melon bubble milk tea with Gia Ganuelas Roldan in San Antonio, Texas. But first, an overview of how the world looks now. According to the Coronavirus Resource Center of Johns Hopkins University and Medicine, as of 4 p.m. Eastern Time, Thursday, June 25, 2020, the number of cases of COVID-19 reported worldwide is now more than 9,400,000. This includes more than 2,400,000 in the U.S. and more than 104,000 in Canada. Sadly, this virus has claimed over 484,000 lives worldwide. This number includes more than 122,000 deaths in the U.S., more than 8,000 in Canada. Our coverage begins now. Congress is expected to vote on H.R. 51 or the Washington, D.C. Admission Act. In Washington, D.C., Alan Ramos has the story.
Thank you, Alan. On June 17th, Mayor Muriel Bowser posted on her Twitter account, quote, June 26th, save the date. On June 26th, she tweeted, quote, the time is now. What was she referring to? Well, tomorrow, June 26th, will be the date when Congress will vote on whether or not to grant Washington, D.C. statehood. And if it passes, D.C. would be the 51st state in the Union. Congresswoman of D.C. Eleanor Holmes Norton tweeted on Tuesday, quote, on Friday, the House will make history when it passes my hashtag D.C. statehood bill. Neither chamber has passed the D.C. statehood in D.C.'s 219-year history. This is the beginning of the end of taxation without representation and the start of consent of the governed for D.C. residents. The Financial Times reported, quote, the Democratic-controlled House is expected to overwhelmingly support Ms. Holmes Norton's Washington, D.C. Admission Act when it votes on the measure on Friday. This would give Washington, D.C. full representation in Congress by granting them 2 senators and 1 voting House member. In an op-ed piece written in Washington Post by D.C. Mayor Muriel Bowser, she argues that it appears that the bill H.R. 51 will pass static majority in the House, but most likely will not pass the Republican Senate majority in the Senate. CNN reported, quote, the bill is unlikely to advance in the Republican-held Senate, where Majority Leader Mitch McConnell has said such efforts won't go anywhere as long as he controls the chamber. Just yesterday, the president released a statement through the Office of Management and Budget, which calls the bill unconstitutional. So even if it were to pass through the Senate, the statement says, If HR 51 were presented to the president, his advisors would recommend that he veto the bill. So for now, it seems that there won't be a need to change U.S. flag to show 51 stars. But in this political environment and with the November elections looming, you never know. In Washington, D.C., Emmeline Banda Ramos, Eagle News, Community Investigation. Back to you, Alan.
I'm sure there are many Americans who can't even remember whether there's 50 states or 49 states in America. Even me, sometimes I forget that D.C. isn't actually a state. I'm sure the Republicans have their reasons as to why they wouldn't vote for statehood for D.C. I'm curious, though, what's the argument for D.C. state?
Yes, Alan. Honestly, I didn't know that too right before I went here in the U.S. Well, you know, there's a good summary of the main points listed on statehood.dc.gov. And these are the main reasons why DC residents are fighting for statehood. First is that DC residents pay the highest per capita federal income taxes in the US. Second, DC has 702,000 residents, more than Vermont and Wyoming, and comparable with other states, including Delaware, Alaska, and several others. DC residents, third, DC residents have fought and died in every war, yet those armed service members are denied the freedoms they have fought to protect. Fourth, DC elects a non-voting delegate to the U.S. House of Representatives who can draft legislation but cannot vote. The current delegate for DC is Congresswoman Eleanor Holmes Norton. And lastly, the statehood is the only remedy that provides full representation in Congress for the residents of Washington, D.C. These seem like compelling reasons why D.C. should become a state, but it's not up to you or me, our elected officials, for this to happen. So we'll just have to wait and see. Alan?
So I'm not sure if 51 quite rolls off the tongue as 50 does. I myself really, I have no opinion about whether or not to go ahead and have DC have statehood. How about yourself? Do you find an opinion in yourself about DC getting statehood?
I think so. I think, yes, I believe, as to what I am experiencing here in the district, since I am living here in the district, I think it's also good for the district to be recognized in U.S. In the whole of the Congress and the Senate. It would be just fair, I guess, for this district to have representation at least and to have voices be heard. Well, maybe I'm biased because I'm living here. So, yeah, Alan.
Well, if it ever does come to fruition, please invite us for the celebration. We're sure that it would be quite a big event. Thank you for your report, and don't forget to stay around near the end for a little discussion about some summertime drinks.
Sure, I will be here.
The Pennsylvania government and business owners endorse the wearing of masks to protect communities. And a bipartisan effort calls for federal investment in broadband connectivity. In Swarthmore, Bureau Chief Mila Simbulan reports.
Thanks, Alan. Several businesses and the government of Pennsylvania are joining together in urging the communities to wear masks as a vital tool to protect customers, employees, and neighborhoods. From hair salon owners to big grocery store chains, they are joining together urging the employees and customers to wear masks to stop the spread of the virus. Lopez, owner of On Point Bistro in South Philadelphia, said the use of masks is key to public health and business sustainability, and it's essential that businesses are actively supporting the use of masks. Mandatory wearing of masks started early of April this year and has been a tremendous help in fighting COVID-19 in the state. Tomorrow, June 26, additional 12 counties are moving to the third and final phase of reopening, which means all 66 counties will be on green phase, except one county that will remain in the second or yellow phase. But even on its final reopening phase, wearing of masks are still mandatory. Today, the governor of Pennsylvania, Tom Wolf, and Department of Health Secretary Rachel Levine visited Penn State Health Milton S. Hershey Medical Center and recognized not only the frontline workers of the said facility, but all workers who have been an essential part in the fight against COVID-19. Let's watch.
All of the nurses, the doctors, the EMTs, the first responders, and all of the staff who bravely answered to the call to help. Your efforts have saved lives under the most difficult, extraordinary circumstances. We are forever grateful for your service. The governor and I have called on the community throughout this effort to do our part to protect you and to protect each other. And a big part of that is wearing a mask when you go out in public. And the studies are very clear about the effectiveness for the community if everyone is wearing masks when they're in public. By wearing a mask, we are not just protecting ourselves and others to exposure to COVID-19, but we're actually really saying thank you, to the brave healthcare professionals who are working every night and day to literally save our lives. And all of the nurses, the doctors, the EMTs, the first responders, and all of the staff who bravely answered to the call to help. Your efforts have saved lives under the most difficult, extraordinary circumstances. We are forever grateful for your service. The governor and I have called on the community throughout this effort to do our part to protect you and to protect each other. And a big part of that is wearing a mask when you go out in public. And the studies are very clear about the effectiveness for the community if everyone is wearing masks when they're in public. By wearing a mask, we are not just protecting ourselves and others to exposure to COVID-19, but we're actually really saying thank you, to the brave healthcare professionals who are working every night and day to literally save our lives. And all of the nurses, the doctors, the EMTs, the first responders, and all of the staff.
Bipartisan coalition of 11 governors, including Governor of Pennsylvania, Tom Wolf, wrote a letter to the President and congressional leaders to make investments for all Americans to have access to broadband connectivity. The letter mentioned that 18 million Americans does not have adequate access to broadband internet connectivity. 14 million of those are from rural areas. Not having access for both businesses and families have consequences that are staggering from an economic, health, education, and social standpoint. That's nearly 1 million Pennsylvanians affected. The letter also stated that broadband is not a luxury, but rather critical infrastructure that's vitally important to our economic future and national security. In Swarthmore, Pennsylvania, Myla Simbulan, Eagle News, we live in interesting times. Back to you, Alan.
Myla, if you compare the number of cases just last March when people weren't mandated yet to wear masks compared to today, do you think there's a significant difference?
I believe so, Alan. Mandatory wearing of masks here in Pennsylvania started April 19, and the average in April of the number of positive cases is about 1,500 per day. It's just the month of April. And then in the month of May, the average is about 1,000. Now for the month of June, we're now averaging about 500. So it's really going down. The number of cases are going down. So I believe mask is really a significant, in fighting this virus.
Well, Myla, then you answered my next question, which was, if you thought that the masks really are helping fight COVID-19. Another question I want to ask, I kind of have a feeling that's probably quite true in any state that we visit. Little kids, I've seen some of them celebrate. They say, hey, I have a new mask. It's my favorite superhero mask, things like that. Do you think that masks can actually become like fashion trending? And if so, what kind of interesting masks, face coverings have you seen?
Well, I've seen not in person, but those in television or in social media. I've seen people wearing all those expensive. Sometimes they just use hankies and those branded ones like Louis Vuitton. They have those really interesting masks. And now stores are making their own masks also with their brands as well. And during this, what happened during this protest and everything, they even put what they're fighting for. They even put that on their mask instead of holding a slogan or a poster. They put it on their mask as well. So mask, I believe, is really going out there. I mean, if you go to the stores now, every store has a mask to sell. Alan?
So there you have it, designer masks. Myla, I live very closer to Hollywood. I'm just waiting to see celebrities with diamond-studded face masks. I'm sure that would make the news. And now, Myla, just like what I told Aimelin earlier, we're going to be having discussion about summertime desserts. I think I said drinks earlier, but I don't want to just limit it to fruit smoothies. Summertime desserts, I hope you can stick around so that we can have a little discussion about that.
Looking forward to that, Alan.
Thank you for the report. When we come back, more updates from our Eagle News correspondents. This is Eagle News America. Stay with us.
Patindi ng patindi at tuloy-tuloy ang pagpapakita ng galing ng ating mga TNG aspirants.
You're just too good to be true.
It up, you came to get it wrong with a dame, I should have drunk you back
When I was a child.
Abangan ng kanilang performances sa pinakamalaking talent competition sa buong bansa, Tagisan ng Galing.
Tagisan ng Galing is presented by SMC Infrastructure Building a Better World. Sandig sugar-free white coffee. Puno ng white coffee taste without the sugar, kaya lower calories. Try mo na Sandig sugar-free white coffee. Sarap ng white coffee, now sugar-free. Vet-approved Nutrichos, the only premium dog food with active boost for optimum energy and prebiotics that help strengthen immunity. Just like Catherine Bernardo, gawing listo, ganado ang fur babies niyo. Listo ganado sa Nutrichos. Magnolia Chicken Templados, delicious, ready to cook and freshly marinated daily. Pure Foods Lunch and Meat, pure sarap for every family. Star Chunky Cheese Corned Beef, ang cheesy ng corned beef mo. Walang duda, kids can tell na #1 ang Pure Foods Tender Juicy. Ang tender, ang juicy, ang sarap. Co-presented by Cooper, expert in air conditioning and electromechanical. Also engaged in structural, electrical, fire protection, plumbing, and sanitary services. Cooper, your ultimate NEPS and air conditioning solutions. Unlad Incorporated International, fight against global poverty. New San Jose Builders Incorporated. Canrib Corporation, your ventilation and air conditioning specialist. Vita Herbs Philippines Green Coffee, masarap, mabango, at healthy pa. Puerto Rico Resort and Convention Center, Cabiao, Nueva Ecija. I love Puerto Rico. In participation with Rain or Shine Elastomeric Waterproofing Paint, Matinco, R Square Variables Incorporated, Compizel Enterprises, Saisho International Trading Corporation, DN Steel, IMAC UPV Roof Corporation.
Hey, Gretchen Ho here, and I'm a white coffee lover. Creamy kasi, and very yummy. Pero mas masarap kung hindi nakaka-guilty. Check my new discovery, San-May Sugar-Free White Coffee. Puno ng white coffee taste without the sugar, kaya lower calories. Try mo na! Sunbaked sugar-free white coffee. Sarap ng white coffee, now sugar-free.
The successful development of TPLEX, or Tarlac Pangasinan La Union Expressway in 2009, a 4-lane toll road that extends from Tarlac City to Rosario La Union, with an additional approved extension of 56 kilometers all the way to San Juan La Union. This is expected to reduce travel time to Baguio and other provinces in northern Luzon. Realizing the vision of creating a better world for Filipinos fueled the team's focus.
Listo at ganado ang baby ko sa vet-approved Nutri-Chunks with active boost and prebiotics na pampalisto. Made with real meat, with essential nutrients to help them grow healthy and happy. Listo, ganado sa Nutri-Chunks.
Ikaw lang ang star ng buhay ko. Para sa akin, perfect ka. Ang cheesy ng corned beef mo. Pag Star Chunky Cheese Corned Beef, sarap ng corned beef, inangat pa ng real cheese cubes. Star Chunky Cheese Corned Beef.
You are watching Eagle News America. I'm Alan Basoyahe in Los Angeles. The 2020 Census Caravan reaches out to families in Los Angeles to complete this year's headcount forms. Eagle News correspondent Mylene Cuscio in North Hills reports.
Thank you, Alan. Today, the 2020 Census Caravan visited Walnut Park, a densely populated area in Los Angeles, with the objective of motivating the community and reaching out to the families and individuals there to complete their census forms to ensure that all residents will be part of this nationwide head count. Los Angeles County officials are reminding all Los Angeles residents that it is not too late to complete their 2020 census questionnaire forms if not done so already. Filling out the census questionnaire will ensure each Los Angeles individual will be counted and that all Los Angeles County will receive the funding and resources needed for healthcare, education, and more, including representation in the U.S. government. The 2020 census accounts for all people residing in the United States, including these 5 U.S. territories: American Samoa, Guam, Northern Mariana Islands, Puerto Rico, and U.S. Virgin Islands. The U.S. Census has been conducted since 1790 and carried out every 10 years. By law, everyone is required to complete their census questionnaire form, and all answers on this form are kept confidential. In mid-March, the census questionnaire forms were mailed out to all households in Los Angeles with follow-ups through phone, text, and even online through email. There are Angelinos who still have not completed their 2020 census form. This form does not take long at all, approximately 10 minutes of one's time. With over 10 million people living in the county, according to the U.S. Census Bureau, Los Angeles is the largest in population within the state of California and is overall the largest populated county in the entire nation. It is important then to county officials that all Los Angeles residents complete their 2020 census form as soon as possible. The U.S. Census 2020 is requesting everyone to do their part and be counted today. In Los Angeles County, the number of new COVID cases increased with 1,260 newly reported cases and 34 new deaths. The total number of confirmed cases in the county is 89,490, with 3,205 deaths, as announced today by the Los Angeles Public Health Department. Meanwhile, the state of California currently has a total of 195,571 confirmed COVID cases and 5,733 deaths as recorded by the California Department of public health. In North Hills, California, Mylene Cusio, Eagle News, we live in interesting times. Back to you, Alan.
Mylene, what if one is an immigrant and not a U.S. citizen? Are they excused from filling out the 2020 census questionnaire form?
No, Alan. Actually, everyone who lives in the United States is required by law to complete the census questionnaire form, as this is a population count or a head count of all individuals residing in the country, regardless of your immigration status.
Now, I live in Los Angeles County just like you do, and I know that some residents think that April 1 was the deadline date, and now they're thinking that they're late in completing this form. What is the deadline date for completing the 2020 census questionnaire form?
Well, Alan, there isn't actually an actual deadline date. April 1st is considered as a census day, and tallies everyone who has responded so far as of that date. A kind of like a snapshot to display who has been counted and the place, area, or city the individual or families reside in. Residents can still complete their 2020 census questionnaire forms by mail, phone, or online if they haven't already done so. If not done by mid-August this year, census takers will then be visiting neighborhoods and homes that have not yet completed or submitted their forms to ensure that everyone is included in the census count.
Now, I've been very fortunate that my wife has taken care of the census form for me. I didn't have to lift a finger. How about yourself? Have you completed the census?
I have, actually. As you know, I have kids in school, and I want to make sure that our schools are funded properly because my kids' head count do matter.
So speaking of kids, you have a little bit of time left to figure out what your favorite summertime dessert is. Will you be talking about your favorite summertime desserts or maybe what your kids like to consume?
Well, fortunately, we all like to consume a certain summer dessert.
Okay.
So we'll chat later about that.
All right. I can't wait to get to that portion. Thank you so much for your report, Mylene.
You're welcome, Alan.
A Fort Worth, Texas councilman tests positive for coronavirus. In Fort Worth, Lovely Anderson has the story.
Thank you, Alan, and howdy from the Lone Star State. Here in Fort Worth, Texas, City Councilman Kerry Moon announced Thursday that he tested positive for COVID-19. Moon stated that his fever had risen to 100.6 and he is now in self-isolation. He shared this news to the public as a reminder for everyone, mask up. Just hours after Tarrant County declared a face mask mandate effective Friday, tomorrow, June 26th at 6 a.m. Moon also revealed he shared a bus ride with a number of city officials Friday during a march on Juneteenth for activist Ms. Opal Lee. He stated all had worn masks and practiced social distancing. Fort Worth Mayor Betsy Price also announced on June 18th, just last week, she was currently in self-isolation, self-quarantine after contact with a community member who tested positive for COVID-19. Price herself has tested negative, but she still continues to self-isolate nevertheless. Meanwhile, the number of new COVID cases in Fort Worth continue to increase. As of today alone, Thursday, we had a number of 517 new cases as of today. On Tuesday, we had a report, the city reported 31% of ventilators in the city was being used, and the following day it increased to 33%. The City of Fort Worth Hospital COVID admittance is at a 67% capacity, which followed the same percentage the next day. Due to the staggering increases of cases today in Tarrant County, Judge Glenn Whitley mandated through county ordinance that requires face masks to be worn while in a public business in the county, which goes into effect early Friday morning, June 26th. The city mayor encourages everyone to take responsibility by wearing a mask, practicing social distancing, and maintaining proper hygiene. Hygiene. We now shift gears to the weather. According to the National Oceanic and Atmospheric Association, reports of the Sahara dust storm that travels across the Atlantic Ocean every 3 to 5 days from late spring through early fall, known as the Saharan air layer, is currently moving over Texas. AccuWeather hurricane expert Mr. Dan Katolsky stated this is probably the worst air quality caused by Saharan dust in recent memory. Air quality could also drop to moderate to unhealthy this weekend over Texas and East Texas due to the dust. Katolsky said, so people with respiratory issues should not spend any periods of time outdoors. Some people with severe respiratory condition, just stay indoor. All I can say, Alan, is at least we're all wearing masks, right? In Fort Worth, Texas, I'm Lovely Anderson, Eagle News. We live in interesting times. Back to you, Alan.
Lovely, I understand that Fort Worth, Texas has a nickname, and that nickname is Cowtown. Can you explain to the rest of us what that means?
Absolutely, Alan. Thank you for that question. I get that question a lot. Actually, if I'm not mistaken, since World War I, we have a place here in Fort Worth that's called the Fort Worth Stockyards, which is one of the largest horse, mule, livestock market in the world. There were always plenty of cattle and cowboys in Fort Worth, thus the name of Cowtown. In fact, downtown Stockyards has a replica of the Old West with real-life cowboys. We got cowboys here. We even got longhorn cattle, and they run out daily here in the Stockyards. Now,
I do know a little bit about bovines, cows, and things of those types of animals. If they, and since your report was about face masks, if they were able to invent and distribute a face mask with a filter in it, so that you wouldn't have to breathe in essence of cow, do you think that would sell well?
Absolutely, I totally agree. Definitely, especially in these times. Bestseller.
Okay, and Lovely, of course, we're going to have a discussion a little bit later, a lighthearted discussion about summertime snacks, your favorite. I would be so impressed if your summertime snack had something to do with cow, but no pressure.
No, not cow. Okay. Definitely not cow.
Lovely, thank you so much for your report.
Thank you, Alan.
Texas County judge involved in an altercation over mask order. And Texas Governor Greg Abbott halts elective surgeries and pauses reopening to address COVID-19 surge. In San Antonio, we have Jericho Montefalcon with the story.
Thank you, Alan, and howdy from Texas. Here in Texas, it's not just the temperature that is rising, but also the number of COVID-19 cases. In fact, in a list compiled by CNBC using data from Evercore ISI, San Antonio ranks number 3 in the top 5 cities with the fastest COVID-19 case growth in the past week. On Wednesday, city officials announced 347 new positive cases, bringing San Antonio, Bexar County's total to 7,814 cases, roughly 5,000 which are still active with a death toll of 104. The city metro area has also experienced a significant increase in the number of COVID-19 patients hospitalized in the ICU or on ventilators, prompting a need to limit large gatherings. Mayor Ron Nirenberg stated, "The virus has gained a total foothold in our community as the state continues to reopen. We need to act aggressively to regain control and slow its spread with every tool available." He signed a second addendum to his 8th Emergency Health Declaration prohibiting outdoor gatherings of 100 or more people to contain the spread of COVID-19. On Wednesday, Bexar County Judge Nelson Wolf assured residents he was not hurt after a recent altercation at a Lowe's hardware store with a customer who refused to wear a mask. Judge Wolf stated that he was in line at the store when he overheard the customer arguing against wearing a mask. Wolf tried to intervene and explain that this was mandatory and tried to hand him a business card. When the customer slapped the judge's hand away, knocking down the business card and walked out of the store. Authorities stated that the man turned himself in on Wednesday after sheriff deputies filed an arrest warrant for assault of a public servant. Those charges were downgraded to a low level of misdemeanor of disorderly conduct at Wolf's request. In a news briefing Wednesday, Judge Wolf acknowledged that some residents may be upset about the mandate requiring face masks for employees and customers in places of businesses, and that the suspect may have just been having a bad day, but he urged residents to continue wearing face masks to reduce the spread of COVID-19. On Thursday, Governor Abbott announced that elective surgeries in urban counties where COVID-19 hospitalizations are spiking will be halted, and that additional reopening phases will be temporarily paused as the state responds to the growing crisis. Governor Abbott also announced on Wednesday that the Texas Division of Emergency Management and Texas Military Department are distributing a quantity of 4 surgical 3-ply masks to every Texan who undergoes COVID-19 testings at state-run mobile test collection sites. Texans can find testing sites near them by visiting TDEM's COVID-19 test collection site map. In San Antonio, Texas, I'm Jericho Montefalcon. Eagle News, we live in interesting times. Hope you are staying safe and cool there in California, Alan. Back to you.
Thank you, Jericho, and you stay safe as well. When we come back, we'll have more stories. Stay with us. This is Eagle News.
Protektahan ang sarili laban sa coronavirus disease o COVID-19.
Narito ang ilang paalala.
Takpan ang ilong at bibig sa tuwing babahing at uubo. Gamitin ang looban ng siko. Kung gagamit naman ng tissue, ay tiyaking maitapon ito agad sa tamang basurahan. Iwasang hawakan ang ilong o bibig. Ugaliing maghugas ng mga kamay gamit ang sabon at umaagos na tubig o magpahid ng alcohol-based sanitizer.
Gumamit ng face mask kung ikaw ay may ubot sipon. O kaya naman ay may inaalaga ang pasyente na mayroong simptomas ng respiratory illness. Itapon ng gamit na face mask sa tamang basurahan.
Sundin ang social distancing. Panatilihin ang 1 metrong layo mula sa ibang tao, lalo na kapag nasa labas ng bahay. Kung maaari ay umiwas muna sa mga matataong lugar.
Laging tandaan, mahalaga ang kalinisan upang sakit ay maiwasan.
Hindi mo ba alam, mauubos daw ang mga tissue products? Bakit naman? Ang raw materials daw ng mask at tissue products ay iisa lang. Saan naman galing ang balitang yan? Ay basta, narinig ko lang din. Maraming dilim kayang nagpo-post sa Facebook at Twitter, kaya kung ako sa'yo, kumuha ka na din. Sige na't mauna na ako sa'yo
Huwag basta-basta magpaniwala
sa mga nakikita
o nababasa sa social media.
Magsaliksik at i-verify ang lahat ng impormasyon
Nakukuha sa internet.
Tandaan,
maging responsable tayo
sa paggamit ng social media
nang hindi magdulot ng panic sa iba.
Kung paanong dapat labanan ng COVID-19
ay gayon din ang ating pagsugpo
sa black propaganda
at maling impormasyon.
Dennis Lu,
Lou Omelda,
General Fartosa,
Tyranel Pililu,
Hannibal Arevalo,
EBC,
Japan Euro. We live in interesting times.
Hello, my name is Robin, and I'm 5 years old. My mom and dad said many people are getting sick. That is why we have to stay at home. That is why I cannot go to school. I cannot play outside, and I cannot even visit my friends. We can only go outside if we visit the doctor, or if we need to buy some food. And when we get home, we have to wash our hands. While I'm at home, I do my homework, clean up my toys, help cooking our food, and help my parents with their work. Please stay home so we can all play together again. Bye!
Windsor-Essex County's COVID-19 numbers increase due to workplace-related outbreaks. In Toronto, Arisa Mangilit reports.
For the past weeks, Windsor-Essex County's COVID-19 numbers have been increasing because of workplace-related outbreaks, particularly in farms, which have mostly migrant workers. Currently, Windsor-Essex has about 1,300 confirmed cases and 68 deaths, with outbreaks in 1 long-term care home and 6 farms in Leamington and Kingsville. The Ontario government has announced a 3-point plan in response to the current coronavirus outbreaks in Windsor-Essex, especially within the agriculture and agri-food sectors.
By providing both farmers and employees with economic certainty, this 3-point plan will allow the rapid scaling up of testing in agri-food sector workplaces across the region. As we do, we can identify and isolate cases of COVID-19 and help put a stop to further spread of the virus.
Earlier this week, Ontario Premier Doug Ford was asked to comment on the outbreaks, to which he emphasized the urgency for farmers in the area to cooperate with the provincial government in getting their workers tested. Take a look.
They're phenomenal people down there, great farmers. I've met a tremendous amount of them, and guys, until you cooperate, and we can't force anyone to get testing. And I guess when my plea was happening last week too, it was just kind of brushed off like, oh, well, okay, not a problem. You're affecting the largest region, and it's not fair to the people of Windsor. It's not fair to other people.
With this urgency, the province is taking immediate action in the hopes of stopping the spread of the virus and moving the region into stage 2 when it is safe to do so. The 3-point plan was announced on June 24th by Premier Ford. The first point refers to ongoing and expanding on-site testing.
As a first step, we have expanded testing on all farms, starting with the largest ones. Matt Anderson and Dr. Heyer and the team at Ontario Health have been working with local hospitals to send the mobile testing units to the farms. We're bringing the testing right to their doorsteps. Anyone who needs a test can get a test.
The second point of the plan involves access to employment benefits for both Canadian workers and migrant farmers.
And that leads to the next point of our plan. I want to send a clear message to the temporary workers. No one will lose their job if you have COVID-19. No one will be sent home if you have COVID-19. And if you test positive for COVID-19 and you need to self-isolate for 14 days, you will be eligible for WSIB benefits. And in some cases, if you worked here last year and you have a social insurance number, workers may be eligible for the federal CERB benefits.
The third and last point is using a new public health guidance for positive asymptomatic workers.
So to further support our farmers, the third pillar of our plan is a new public health guidance for asymptomatic workers. This guidance was developed in consultation with Dr. Williams and his team of experts. This new protocol will give farmers guidance on isolating workers who have tested positive for COVID-19, but who have no symptoms and who can still safely work outdoors in isolation.
Although Ontario is now in stage 2 of reopening, the COVID-19 outbreak is still ongoing. That is why cooperation from all sectors of the province is necessary to keep the number of cases down, hopefully contain the virus, resume the economy, and keep everyone safe and healthy. In Toronto, Raza Mangilit, Eagle News, we live in interesting times.
Thank you for that report, Raisa. And now we move on to a tasty story. It's an Italian starter dish that simply means toasted bread with toppings. If you said bruschetta, you are right, my dear friends. And tonight, EBC friend Aika Chong in Fremont, California will show us how simple it is to make. Take a look. Well, I know that we introduced that as a starter dish, but it looked in and of itself quite filling. And now, speaking of food, I think it's time to talk about our favorite summertime desserts. We're going to hear from our Eagle News correspondents about what they like to eat during summertime. And you know what? I'm going to tell all of you right now that I'm curious to see what your favorite summertime snacks are, because I actually have one. And I am willing to guess that whatever you have in mind won't come close to what my favorite summertime snack is. Are you interested? All right, let's start asking our correspondents here. Miley, North Hills, California, favorite summertime snack?
For me, Alan, it would be frozen yogurt, taro flavor, with different kinds of toppings, nuts and candy, candy, whatever candy's on display. And I'll add additional, those little balls that pop in your mouth. I don't know what they're called.
I don't either.
but they have those at the yogurt bar, and they're kind of fun to eat. Not necessarily the best tasting thing. It's fun to hear it pop in your mouth. But as far as my family and I'm glad that they also like frozen yogurt. And for the drinks, we like boba, any type of boba drink.
Okay. Yeah, and you know, Mylene, I don't want to influence the other correspondents I'm going to ask. I'm just wondering how many of them also have boba on their minds. So maybe they're just going to say a different flavor of boba. But I will tell you, and maybe I'm giving a kind of a hint to the other correspondents, I've had the dessert you're talking about, love frozen yogurt, especially with my mom. It's far, though, from my favorite summertime dessert or summertime snack. So maybe some of the other correspondents are thinking, what in the world does Alan like to eat? So frozen yogurt, I love it, but it's not my favorite summertime snack. Thanks, Mylene. We're going to move on.
Sure.
Lovely. I gave you a little bit of time to see if we could make a dessert with cow in it. But in any case, I'm actually interested what your favorite summertime snack is.
You know, Alan, you have got me really interested to find out what your favorite dessert is. However, mine, I'd have to say, here in Texas, it gets so hot. We're like in the 90s to the 100 degrees. So I'm all about the slushy runs. Slushy runs, ice cream, those are my faves. That's what I like to do.
So you mean to say if we were going to raid your freezer right now, we could just find a lot of frozen ice cream in your place?
You know, Alan, you got me on that one. I'm actually embarrassed to say I definitely have a whole bunch of ice cream in there. I'm also a Haagen-Dazs snacker, so ice cream, I got plenty.
Well, you know what? I can't blame you at all. I'm going to tell you right now, ice cream, I also love so much. It's not my favorite summertime snack. It's not quite there yet. But I will tell you that my wife, she buys ice cream in bulk, especially the drumsticks, you know. And she complains to me. She says, you know, Alan, I haven't even tasted a single drumstick ice cream, and they're all gone. And my response to her is that I'm very worried about her, that she keeps buying all this ice cream, but she keeps forgetting to eat any. I mean, don't you think we should be more worried about her forgetfulness than, you know, it magically disappearing?
Well, Al, give us a hint. And what's your favorite summer snack or dessert? Give us a hint. I'm really
hint. Okay. I'll give you a color. It has multiple colors because it has different layers. But the innermost color should be red. And let's go to Myla. Let's talk first about your summertime dessert. Thank you, Lovely, for talking with me about ice cream. Myla, your favorite summertime snack, and if you want to give a shot at what I'm talking about, feel free.
Yeah, I'm still thinking about it. Red, okay. But this is my favorite snack. Don't know if we can see it.
Ah, I love you.
There's still some frost on it. Okay. Yeah, that's my favorite summer dessert, ube ice cream. And this brand, it's really creamy and smooth. So that's why this is my favorite. And did you know that ube is different from taro? There are different type of yam. Yes. So I thought initially they're the same, but they're not.
Right, and Miley, you know, I'm known to joke around all the time, but all jokes aside, no, I did not know that. I literally thought they were both the same. Just taro was in Hawaii or something like that.
No, yeah, ube is really the purple yam. It's still a different. There's a purple sweet potato and there's purple yam, and taro is different. They also call it, I think, gabi in the Philippines. So. That's the same as taro, yeah. That's why when you look at the real root, have this different color, but same texture.
Are there any red ube or red taro?
Not that I know of, but I'm still thinking about your favorite dessert. Are red in the middle. Is it halo halo? No.
Well, you know, I know halo halo is also another Filipino dessert, and all right, I'll give you another hint.
Okay.
Specifically about halo halo, no, it's actually pretty far from that. In fact, there's nothing in halo halo. At least I don't think there's anything in that Filipino mixed dessert that has my snack in it.
Okay. Let me think about it more.
Okay.
You
You know, I'm
have to
getting a
give us
little-
more hints. It's really hard. Yeah, you have to give us more hints.
Well, I'm doing that on purpose because once I actually reveal what it is, I hope you don't get disappointed. But yeah, so I'm going to reveal it after we speak with Imelin. Imelin, your turn. Favorite summertime dessert, favorite summertime snack. What do you have for us?
Hi, Alan. So it depends on where I am. So if it's in the Philippines, if I'm in the Philippines, my all-time favorite snack is isaw or yes. And but if I'm here, if you have heard of Korean bingsu, that is shaved ice. Yes, that's shaved ice with everything on top of it. It could be cereal, it could be milk, it could be frozen yogurt. Anything, actually, it's really good. That's really good. So, our favorite, our family's favorite, so that's bingsu. And I'm really curious what yours is, Alan.
Well, before we talk about that, I do want to say I don't think I've ever had any of the desserts you mentioned, so I'm instantly curious. However, Emeline, actually, when you first started your explanation, you said, it depends where I am.
Yes.
And what I was thinking was, you know, it depends where I am in the house. If I'm in the dining room with guests over, my favorite summertime dessert is celery. But if I'm in the closet, I'm there with a spoon and a tub of Neapolitan ice cream. And that's depending on where I am hiding, then my dessert changes. That's actually what I thought you were going with. Yeah, so like I said, it sounds very interesting. I don't think I've had it, so I think I'm going to have to do some searches online and see if I can score something at least similar to it. Do you have any other ideas of what my favorite summertime snack or favorite summertime dessert might be? I'll give you another clue. I did say that it has layers. Actually, it's about, I think some could say 3 layers, but I'm just going to say 2 layers. One of the layers is red. Another layer is green.
Is it hot or cold?
If you refrigerate it, it's cold. If you leave it out in the sun, it's hot.
That's such a teaser. You have to tell us what it is.
Does it have coconut on it?
No.
No.
Well, I can tell that we could go on, and I think I'm going to reveal it right now. And apologies in advance if after I deliver it, you're a little bit disappointed. And here it is. Here's my actual story. Like I said earlier, I think many people know me as someone who jokes around a lot. But in this case, once again, all jokes aside, my favorite summertime snack is something very simple. It's actually watermelon, and I'll tell you why. Yeah, I'll tell you why. Because watermelon takes me back to my childhood when I was still just me and my 2 older sisters, mom and dad, grandma and grandpa, and we would just sit out on the porch trying to cool off in the summer. And my dad, who's already passed, would come around with watermelon. It didn't even have to be sweet as long as I was with the family. It was my favorite thing to eat because I was with my loved ones. And I can tell you how long ago that was for me, because back then, watermelons had seeds in them still. It wasn't seedless watermelon. So that's my favorite summertime snack. Maybe not so much because it's as tasty as others, but because it brings me back to a favorite memory of my childhood with my parents, my sisters, and my family. So that's my story right there.
I love watermelon too. They even make sparkling watermelon juice now. And it's to the store I go to, and it's really good.
You know, it's continued with me. I love watermelon everything. Watermelon smoothies, watermelon juice. I don't think they have a watermelon ice cream, but if they did, I'd certainly give it a try.
Well, Alan, I'm actually going to say, I think other than watermelon, that's your favorite. Back to your wife. I think it's that ice cream, too, that your wife buys, because where does it go, right?
Right. I think there's a shadow cast under my chin, so you cannot tell that there's a little sag there. Or at least I hope not. But if you can see the sag, that's exactly where the ice cream has gone to. But anyway, thank you so much for your opinions, my lovely correspondents, lovely from Fort Worth, Texas, for your summertime snacks. I appreciate hearing from all of you.
Thank you, Alan.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone.
We want to continue to thank our frontline and essential workers with a round of applause. As always, we appreciate you, and how about another round of applause for our 2020 graduates? You all did great, quite an accomplishment. We're also proud of you. Well, that is today's Eagle News America. Thank you for joining us. I'm Alan Basoyahe. We live in interesting times.